Enjoy your viewing. Good afternoon.
Let us pray. Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness have appointed the office of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor us, your servants, whom you have been pleased to call to a performance of important trust in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests are connected to our church. Amen.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair.
Honourable members, as you may be aware, the Business Laws Amendment number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 50 of 2020, was published via Kenya Gazette Supplement number 228 of December 14, 2020, to effect various amendments to 10 statutes. The bill, which is sponsored by the leader of the majority party, was read a first time on 22nd of December 2020. It was thereafter referred to various departmental committees for consideration in accordance with their respective mandates, with the lead committee being the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs, as indicated in my communication of 9th February 2021. Honourable members, I wish to notify you that I have received a request from the leader of the majority party dated 16th of March 2021, seeking my consent for the withdrawal of some proposed amendments to the following 2 statutes as contained in the bill. Number 1, the National Construction Authority Act, number 41 of 2011, and 2, the Land Registration Act, number 3 of 2012. In his request, the leader of the majority party indicates that following consultations with the executive and the urgent need to expedite consideration of the bill, he wishes to withdraw the proposed amendments relating to the aforementioned 2 statutes so as to ensure that the bill no longer concerns county governments. Indeed, honourable members, following our usual consultations, the Speaker of the Senate and on January 5th, 2021, indicated that the bill is one that concerns county governments and therefore will require to be considered by the Senate after passage by the National Assembly in terms of Article 110, Clause 4 of the Constitution. Thereafter, in another letter dated 16th of March 2021, the Speaker of the Senate did indicate that if the aforementioned provisions are withdrawn from the bill, then the bill will no longer concern county governments and therefore be considered and enacted by the National Assembly alone in terms of Article 109, Clause 3 of the Constitution. Our members, it's on that basis that I have acceded to the request by the leader of the majority party, which implies that the bill will now proceed as though the withdrawn sections were not part of it. And in this regard, the bill will now undergo second reading and other stages without making reference to the 2 withdrawn provisions. The House is accordingly guided. I thank you.
Order number 3, messages.
Honourable members, wish to report to the House that I have received a message from His Excellency the President conferring his nomination of Professor Fatuma Nyagodhie Chege for appointment as a Principal Secretary in the newly created State Department for Implementation of Curriculum Reforms under the Ministry of Education. His Excellency the President, having exercised his powers under Article 155, Clause 3, Paragraph A of the Constitution, is now seeking the approval of the National Assembly on the appointment of Professor Fatuma Chege as a Principal Secretary for the aforementioned State Department. Honourable members, standing order number 45 requires that upon receipt of notice of nomination for appointment of a person to such office, the nomination shall stand committed to the relevant departmental committee of the House for consideration. Further, Section 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, as recently amended, requires the committee to consider such nomination and take a report for debate, and table a report for debate and decision of the House within 28 days. In this regard, honourable members, pursuant to the provision of the same law and paragraph 3 of the Standing Order number 42 relating to messages from the President, I hereby refer the message together with the curriculum vitae of Professor Fatuma Nyagodhie Chege to the Departmental Committee on Education and Research for the committee to undertake the necessary approval hearings. The committee should notify the nominee and the general public of the time and place for holding the approval hearings in good time, and upon conclusion of the hearings, table their report in the House by Thursday, 15th of April 2021, to enable the House to consider the matter within the stipulated timelines. I thank you.
Order number 4, petitions.
Member for Garissa Township.
Honorable Speaker, I, the undersigned, on behalf of the residents of Garissa and Wajir counties, drew the attention of the House to the following. Number 1, that after nearly 60 years of independence, many residents of Garissa and Wajir counties still do not possess identification documents. That Article 1, Sabbatical 1, and Article 2, Sabbatical 1 of the Constitution provides that sovereign power belongs to the people of Kenya, and further stipulates that the Constitution is the supreme law that binds all persons and state organs at both levels of government. That Article 12 of the Constitution provides that every citizen is entitled to the rights, privileges, and benefits of citizenship that include a Kenyan passport and any other document of registration or identification issued by the state to its citizens. That despite clear provisions of Articles 1, Sabbatical 1, of Article 2, Sabbatical 1, and Article 12 of the Constitution, many Kenyans residing in Garissa and Wajir counties have been denied registration and identification documents, which have in essence rendered them stateless. That, Mr. Speaker, failure by the state to issue registration and identification documents to these specific areas of the country amounts to fundamental denial and infringement of the fundamental human rights and freedoms guaranteed under the Bill of Rights. That on the account of this denial of these critical documents, most Kenyan citizens residing in Garissa and Wajir counties are unable to access government services, including health and education services, and have further been denied their political and economic rights that include access to banking services and formal employment. That the situation has been further compounded by the recently launched National Integrated Identity Management System, which requires one to possess an identification card in order to obtain a Huduma card, which is linked to numerous services, including medical service, mobile service, registration of business, access to public utilities, voter registration, and other services. That lack of registration and identification documents have been attributed to double registration, where Kenyans residing in Wajir and Garissa counties were registered in the refugee database, mainly at Dadaab and Kakuma refugee camps, in order for them to access services such as medical, educational opportunities, and who are now fated as stateless life without dignity in their own country. That, Mr. Speaker, over 20,000 Kenyan Somalis in Garissa and Wajir counties are presently registered as refugees, which was the only alternative they had in securing relief food occasioned by the massive drought experienced in the 1990s. Mr. Speaker, that efforts to have the matter resolved by the Director of Registration of Persons through the Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government have not borne much fruit, as exemplified by the fact that despite verification of the few thousands youth in Garissa Township, in Lagdera constituency, in Ijara constituency, in Fafi constituency, in the Dab constituency, and in Wajir South constituency, through a government task force formed in 2019, the youth have to date not been deregistered as refugees, which is a prerequisite for issuance of relevant identification and registration documents. And that the matter raised, Mr. Speaker, in this petition are not pending in any court of law in our country. Now, therefore, your humble petitioners, Mr. Speaker, pray that the National Assembly, through the relevant Committee on Administration and National Security, do the following. Number one, to investigate the matter with a view to recommending to the Ministry of Interior and Coordination of National Government, one, to deregister these youth as refugees and all the persons that were vetted and confirmed through their parents as citizens, to guarantee and be issued with the relevant identification and registration documents. Two, to all the vetted persons, and recommend that this matter is concluded in the shortest time possible. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, the committee to make any other recommendation that it deems fit in the circumstance of the petition. And Mr. Speaker, your petitioners will ever, ever, and ever pray. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Sir, the petition, sorry, is it the Departmental Committee on Administration? And Ministry of National Security? Comment how? No. No. That is too long. It has taken so long that it has taken away the right. No, you know, I can see everybody raising up their finger, one finger, like is that the Honorable Sophia Abdi? Now one finger, the other one, member for, no, member for Dadaab, yes, this is Dr. Mahmoud, yeah? And I can see the member for, but the member for Mandela knows that is not affected. Or you just want to do solidarity. Each of you 1 minute, comment. Honorable Sophia.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me to contribute to this very important matter that concerns our youth. Mr. Speaker, this is a very passionate issue to the people of northern Kenya, Mr. Speaker, particularly the youth. Mr. Speaker, as Dwala has narrated in the petition, and the ID card issue has been an issue throughout this country. And, Mr. Speaker, this issue of national identity card, and particularly those who have been in the refugee camp, has been an issue, and the ministry, the government, and the United Nations has heavily, Mr. Speaker, invested on this matter, and some of us have been going around the offices because there are many youth who have been captured in the database of United Nations refugees. Those youth, Mr. Speaker, some of them were born about 5 years after the refugee camp. Some of them are 25 years old. They have finished secondary schools. They do not have any documentation. Mr. Speaker, they are denied the right of services. They are denied their security. They do not have any security, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, freedom of movement is a nightmare for the youth in the region, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it has become a major problem, Mr. Speaker, in terms of this youth getting services, be it educational services, Mr. Speaker. This youth, you know, we have a major security threat in the country. And when these youth do not have any identification, Mr. Speaker, they are very vulnerable for the security to harass them, to take them to Mr. Speaker. And that has been happening to the youth in Garissa County and in Wajir. Mr. Speaker, if I come down home in my Ijara constituency have been heavily affected, Mr. Speaker, in terms of youth who have joined the refugee camps, their parents, because of basic need, which Kenya...
Member for Dadaab. What is that? Give it a member for Dadaab. Why not giving? Do you have a card? Can you press on the intervention button? Or that does not operate in Dadaab? In the meantime, as you search, let's give the member for Eldas.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Kenya is a responsible member of the international community. And Mr. Speaker, as a result of an informed decision by the government of Kenya in 1991, we accepted to host many refugees from Somalia and gave them a big chunk of northern Kenya, Mr. Speaker. But there is one thing that we did not look into, Mr. Speaker. The risk that decision actually posed to the local community, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, an ID is a basic constitutional right. Now, there are three things. We have the refugee camps, we have the host community, we have Kenyans who are entitled to an ID, Mr. Speaker, and then we have the Kenya government, and we have the expectation by the international community from the Kenya government. Mr. Speaker, all these have jeopardized the rights of innocent Kenyans who have been affected by famine over the years. What happens is, like right now, there is serious famine and drought. If there is food in the refugee camps, people will naturally go there, register, survive. What happens? Their data are captured. But one thing that Kenya government has not done, Mr. Speaker, and over the years we have been taken round, is if there are innocent Kenyans who have proved beyond reasonable doubt that they are Kenyans and they have used the drought case to get food, Mr. Speaker, why will they be punished? Why will the government not use its intelligence facility, Mr. Speaker, to verify, and if there are Kenyans who are affected by the drought, sort them out, give their documents, and if they are refugees, take them to where they belong, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the result of this, that right now we are being punished collectively. It is the high time the government walks the talk and allows those innocent Kenyans
Member for Dadaab.
to get their IDs, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Member for Dadaab.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. First of all, I thank you for giving me an opportunity to contribute to this petition. I represent the Dadaab constituency, which actually hosts over 200,000 refugees. Honorable Speaker, the issue of double registration, maybe many Kenyans will not understand. But let me say this. When refugees are in those camps, they have shared with us our local resources. Equally, we have shared with the refugees the resources which they are getting from the international community, including food and shelter. Consequently, those Kenyans who registered themselves as refugees in order to seek for food and shelter have now been caught in what's called double registration. And these Kenyans cannot get access to ID cards. Consequently, they have become stateless. This matter has been raised at the highest level of government, and a task force was appointed, and a process to
Member for Endabes.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to support the petition by Honorable Duale, member for Karisa Township. For us who live in the border counties, my constituency borders Uganda, we face almost similar conditions, but theirs is worse because you have people who are registered as refugees and not getting IDs. I think this is a very inhuman, and I think it's something that needs to be addressed urgently and should be sorted. Honorable Speaker, border constituencies people should have access to these IDs because it's a very critical instrument for them to access services. So I support that petition.
Member for Mandera North.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I stand to support this petition by Honorable Duale. One thing I want to congratulate him is that this matter has now found itself in the floor of the House, and I want to call upon the House to rise to the occasion. Honorable Speaker, the issue of double registration has been mentioned is mainly because of economic gain. It's not something of their own making. And a task force has been presented before, and the report was tabled to the government. Unfortunately, that has not been resolved. And this matter of ID card issues has been a thorn in the flesh for the greater northern Kenya. And the youths don't have these ID cards. One, some of them are becoming youth, and they can't get jobs. They can't have any identification. And so I want to encourage the committee to really look into this matter and come up with solid recommendations. Task force has been done, nothing has been implemented. So let's encourage the House committee to ensure that the youths across northern Kenya.
Honorable Sankok.
Thank you so much, Honorable Speaker, and I stand to support this petition by His Excellency Adan Duale. And it's very important, Honorable Speaker, because, Honorable Speaker, people cannot be denied services, yet they have been vetted and they have been proof that they are Kenyan citizen, Honorable Speaker. Any child born within the Kenyan soil is actually a Kenyan citizen. So, Honorable Speaker, I don't even see the reason why it should go to the Committee of Administration instead of you being the most powerful person in Kenya, the third in command. Just give directive that this, as far as they have been proven that they are Kenyan citizens, they should be given IDs and Huduma number, Honorable Speaker. You are third in command. Give those directives. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Kubai.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me an opportunity to comment on this, on the petition by Honorable Duale. Mr. Speaker, I support the petition, Mr. Speaker, and more so, I will say that this problem of issuance of ID cards is a thorn in the flesh across the board. Mr. Speaker, not even in the marginal areas or those counties or constituencies which border our other countries. But even internally, Mr. Speaker, even in Meru, you find that those offices, they have nobody to supervise them, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in my constituency, Mr. Speaker, you find that an office has got only one staff or two staff, and every other day we have youths who turn up there to get ID cards and they never get them. This, the registration of persons, Mr. Speaker, should be overhauled holistically and put correct measures so that once a teen gets into the age of majority to get.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to support Honorable Ndwale. Sometimes back, Mr. Speaker, when I was still teaching at the University of Nairobi, I was a lead consultant in the development of refugee policy in this country. And when we went to the DAB, Mr. Speaker, it is true, the locals voluntarily go and register as refugees so that they can be able to get the benefits from those refugee camps. So in that context, Mr. Speaker, they cannot be given an ID. And to me, I think it's a long overdue matter if a committee has been put in place and they can be able to do some renunciation so that they can be able to access an ID for purposes of looking for jobs, Mr. Speaker, and for purposes of investment. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I support the petition.
Member from where?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also stand to support this petition by Honorable Duare. And even as I do so, I want to take note that our committee, Honorable Speaker, did make a visit to the DAB, and we heard from the community the challenges that they are going through. And Mr. Speaker, it's true that there is a lot of challenge. We have a lot of challenges there, especially on the double registration. Youth that were looking for opportunities, registered as refugees, now they want to get back their national ID cards. Mr. Speaker, as we support this petition, we want to take note that this is a challenging area, and it's only fair that the committee be given enough time to look at the petition to come up with a recommendation that will also balance out.
Member for Dagoretti South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I would like to congratulate the former leader of majority because this is a matter that needed to find its way to the floor of this House. The issue of double registration and problem of registration of people who are actually Kenyans is not limited to northern Kenya only. Mr. Speaker, in the Dagoretti South constituency, we are hosting people who are formerly from Congo, from Rwanda, some who are born here and cannot access services of their government because they are not registered, Mr. Speaker. This problem is so compounded in terms of registration of persons that even as we debate about going into a referendum, Mr. Speaker, we know that there are some young people who are not registered as voters who shall be disenfranchised when they have to make a decision either way on this matter that is coming up, whether we shall go on a referendum or not. If they have to make a vote and they have not been registered as voters, Mr. Speaker, they shall be very disenfranchised.
Member for Madeira West.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. I stand to support this petition. Actually, what I want to add is that two committees, joint committees of this House were sent about 2 years back to the DAB, and they interviewed all those people who were double registered, they interviewed others, the leaders, and the committees came up with a report and recommendation for that matter. Unfortunately, I have not seen any implementation of that recommendation. If that recommendation could have been implemented, today the former leader could not have brought this. And therefore, I think what is very important is to make sure that whatever we do as a committee is not done in vain. It should be, the recommendation should be implemented to the latter so that we can deal with that issue once and for all and move.
Member for Kinango.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Nataka nichukue nafasi hii kumuunga mkono Mheshimiwa Duale kwa kuleta mswada huu katika bunge kwa sababu hili swala liko kila mahali. Katika eneo bunge langu niko na jamii kubwa sana ya Somali, na pia wao wameteseka miaka mingi sana bila vitambulisho. Na pia kwa upande mwingine tumepakana na mpaka wa Tanzania, tuko na Wamasai wengi pia wamefikisha umri wa miaka 25 na pia bado hawajapata vitambulisho. Kwa hivyo naunga mkono Mheshimiwa Duale, hii mswada utiliwe maanani na ufanyiwe haraka kwa sababu vijana wengi wanateseka sana. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Speaker.
Member for Ndaragwa.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to support the petition by Mheshimiwa Duale. And in addition, I also ask that the committee pays a visit to the dump sites, the slum areas of this country. We have Kenyans there who are not known even by name. And I think it is useful for us to extend them the same service. I thank you.
Member for Bomachoge Borabu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also want to support this petition. And Mr. Speaker said that the issue of challenges with the issuance of ID cards is not new. So, Speaker, I would just appeal that as we reflect, the committee reflects on this matter, we make right bus stops for the provision of IDs. Students in secondary schools really should be provided IDs before they leave schools. So, Speaker, I want to say that looking at my constituency, we have a backlog of many youths who have no IDs. We have IDs in the offices that have never been distributed. We have no facilities that, that need to move these people around to take IDs. So it's a big issue that needs a clear pathway should be decided, and then this matter can be settled. I support the petition. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Funyula.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I also rise to support the petition by Honorable Duale. I come from a border constituency with Uganda, and our case is more or less the same and unique. Unique in the essence, Honorable Speaker, that we intermarry so much with the ladies from Uganda. You find a lady has stayed in Kenya for 50 years, but is not allowed to be given an ID for obvious facts that it didn't follow through the normal migration. I think we need to extend that petition to cover those kind of issues. For that matter, I support Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Sossion.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to support the petition by Honorable Duale and wish to bring to the attention of this House that the youth in northern Kenya have been balkanized in different ways and denied their rights. It's also incumbent to note that even refugees all over the world have rights, and therefore there is need to expedite and ensure the registration of the youth in northern Kenya. Further, Honorable Speaker, registration of persons ought to be automated and even linked to the birth certificates so that this issue does not become a challenge as the young Kenyans grow. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Member for Kisauni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. First and foremost, I wish to congratulate the former Leader of Majority, Honorable Duale, for bringing this petition. Mr. Speaker, as you are very much aware, Mombasa is dominated by a big business community that is from the Somali community. But majority of the youth from that community up to today, they are still suffering in acquiring the identity cards that can enable them acquire the necessary services in this country. So, Mr. Speaker, this petition should be opened up, should not only be limited to Northeastern, but should be opened up so that whatever recommendation that may be put forward by the committee, they should be able to be applied to the other areas like Mombasa. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Barire.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I rise also to support this petition by the former majority leader and say that it is timely, because citizenship is a human right, Mr. Speaker, and therefore it beholds this government to ensure that every Kenyan citizen is registered as per the law. And therefore I wish to support that, but also say that there is need going forward to ensure that we devolve the units that do register Kenyans as citizens, because right now we have very many young people in the villages who are not yet registered with the national identification, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Kajiado South.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I support the petition. And these issues are actually the same along the border districts or counties. Like in my constituency where I border Tanzania, you find the intermarriages have occurred across the border from Tanzania and Kenyans. And then you will find the father and the children, they have national IDs, but the mother, who is as old as 60 years, do not have those IDs, Mr. Speaker. And I think you become a citizen through marriage. So once you are married by a Kenyan, you should be given a national ID because you are a Kenyan, Mr. Speaker. So the committee that will look into this petition need to look across those issues of intermarriages between citizens of different countries. Furthermore, we are all now people from the East African region where we are not even, we do not even require visas to cross over, Mr. Speaker. I support it.
No. Well, let everybody comment what they want to comment. In any event, the petition is going to be referred to the committee. So these statements are just comments. Member for Kwanza.
Mr. Speaker, I also want to take this opportunity and to say I think the department registrar of persons will be actually be directed by this House to start now registering the youth all over the country. I come from Trans Nzoia, and we have very many youths, Mr. Speaker, who actually are lacking opportunities because they don't have IDs. And therefore, I think I want to take this opportunity to thank Honorable Duale for bringing up this. It's affecting everybody, and you can see from the contribution of this House, Mr. Speaker, everybody is affected. And therefore, the Department of the Registrar of Persons should get out of the comfort zones and be able to register the youth for their own benefit. I support the petition. Thank you.
Very well. The petition is referred to the committee as earlier on directed. Next order.
Order number 5, papers.
Leader of Majority.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 23rd of March, 2021 in the afternoon sitting. Number 1, the legal notice number 15 of 2021 relating to the exemption from income tax for Japanese companies, consultants, and Japanese personnel, and the explanatory memorandum from the National Treasury. Number 2, legal notice number 27 of 2021 relating to the Public Finance Management National Drought Emergency Fund regulations of 2020, and the explanatory memorandum from the National Treasury. Number 3, the legal notice number 16 of 2021 relating to the dairy industry, registrations, licensing, sales, and levy regulations of 2021, and the explanatory memorandum from the Minister of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries, and Cooperatives. Number 4, the legal notice number 17 of 2021 relating to the dairy industry returns, reports, and estimates, regulations of 2021, and the explanatory memorandum from the Minister of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries, and Cooperatives. Number 5, the legal notice number 18 of 2021 relating to the dairy industry compliance officers, regulations 2021, and the explanatory memorandum from the Minister of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries, and Cooperatives. Number 6, the legal notice number 19 of 2021 relating to the dairy industry, produce traceability and recall, regulations of 2021, and the explanatory memorandum from the Minister of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries, and Cooperatives. Number 7, the legal notice number 20 of 2021 relating to the dairy industry milk sales contract regulations 2021, and the explanatory memorandum from the Minister of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries, and Cooperatives. Number 8, legal notice number 21 of 2021 relating to the dairy industry imports and exports regulations of 2021, and the explanatory memorandum from the Minister of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries, and Cooperatives. Number 9, legal notice number 22 of 2021 relating to the dairy industry, dairy produce safety regulations of 2021, and the explanatory memorandum from Minister of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries, and Cooperatives. And number 10, legal notice number 23 of 2021 relating to the dairy industry, pricing of dairy produce, regulations of 2021 and the explanatory memorandum from the Minister of Agriculture, Livestock, Fisheries and Cooperatives. Number 11, the National Government Budget Implementation Review Report for the first half of the year, or the financial year 2020-21, from the Office of the Control Budget. Number 12, the County Government Budget Implementation Review Report for the first half of the financial year 2020-2021 from the Office of the Control Budget. Number 13, the Annual Report and Financial Statement of the National Cohesion and Integration Commission for the financial year 2018-2019. And lastly, number 14, reports of the Auditor General and Financial Statement in respect to the following institutions for the year ended, that is of June 2019, and the certificates therein. Number A, the University of Nairobi Press, and B, the State Department for University Education. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Next, but just to appreciate that the regulations, the paper items A to J will be referred automatically to the Committee on Delegated Legislation to deal with. The chairperson, Departmental Committee on, let's get the report by the Chairman, Public Accounts Committee, the Honorable Opio Wandai.
Yeah, Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House. Today, Tuesday, March 23rd, 2021. Report on the examination of the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements for the national government for the financial year 2017-2018, Volume 1 and Volume 2. Thank you.
Very well. But I wanted to appreciate that that is the report, and members, because there are some who have not seen this kind of reports in the past. That's for the financial year 2017-2018. The Honorable P&I Committee is still has to still deal with the 2018-2019, 2019-2020, 2020-2021. The Chairman, Budget and Appropriations Committee.
Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, March 23rd, 2021, afternoon session. That is a report of the Budget and Appropriations Committee on its consideration of the Supplementary Appropriations Bill, National Assembly Bill number 9 of 2021. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Chairman, Justice and Legal Affairs Committee.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, March 23rd, 2021. Report of the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs on its consideration of the Business Laws Amendment Number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill Number 50 of 2020. Incorporating reports from the following committees. 1, Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning. 2, Departmental Committee on Health. 3, Departmental Committee on Labor and Social Welfare. 4, Departmental Committee on Lands. And finally, 5, Departmental Committee on Transport, Public Works and Housing. Thank you.
Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion. That this House adopts the report of the Public Accounts Committee on the examination of the report of the Auditor General on the financial statements for the national government for the financial year 2017-2018, Volume 1 and 2, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, March 23rd, 2021. Thank you.
Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
We'll start with the first segment, the questions. First question by the member for Kiambu, the Honorable Jude Jomo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I wish to ask question number 062 of 2021. Could the Cabinet Secretary provide the status of ownership of land reference number 6944/2 in Kenyatta Road, Kiambu County, and in particular the section of land which was to be allocated to occupants of Olive Gated Estate in November 2018. What steps has the ministry taken to ensure that the said land is subdivided and marked with beacons by Messrs. Banda Homes Company as agreed during purchase of land for development by the buyers? When will the ministry issue the title deeds to the purchasers? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The question will be replying to before the Departmental Committee on Lands. Next question by the member for Teso North, Honorable Kaunya. Yeah, he indicated that he had requested the Honorable John Olago to ask a question on his behalf. Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I have instructions from the member for Teso North, Honorable Oku Kaunya, to ask this question on his behalf. Mr. Speaker, this question was raised in the last session. It lapsed and he has revived it. Question number 078 of 2021, direct to the Ministry, Cabinet Secretary for Transport, Infrastructure, Housing, Urban Development and Public Works. 1. What plans does the Ministry have to introduce parking lanes on Road A104, known as the Northern Corridor Road at Malaba area, which connects Kenya to Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, South Sudan, and Eastern DRC, in view of the challenges currently experienced by motorists who use that road? And number 2, when will the construction of these parking lanes commence? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Question will be replying to before the Departmental Committee on Transport, Public Works and Housing. Next question by the member for Ikolomani, the Honorable Bernard Masaka Shinali. Press the intervention button. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I raise to ask question 080 of 2021 to the Cabinet Secretary for Mining and Petroleum. 1. Could the Cabinet Secretary provide details of how much money has been collected since the inception of the Petroleum Development Levy to date, considering that the charges were increased to shillings 5.4 per litre, up from shillings 0.4 in July 2020. Number 2, how is the Petroleum Development Levy Fund administered in terms of collections and expenditure? 3, could the Cabinet Secretary give details of how the money collected through the fund will be utilized to stabilize fuel prices, and explain what is the role of the National Oil Corporation of Kenya in stabilizing fuel prices? Number 4, could the Cabinet Secretary confirm whether the Petroleum Development Levy and Petroleum Development Fund complies with the requirements of Article 201 of the Constitution and Section 25 of the Public Finance Management Act 2012. Number 5, what measures has the government put in place to ensure that Kenyans enjoy predictable and affordable fuel prices now that the hedging fund is in place? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Question will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Energy. Next question by the member for Magarini, Honorable Kingi.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to ask question 082 of 2021 to the Cabinet Secretary for Lands and Physical Planning. 1. Could the Cabinet Secretary explain the plans in place to ensure that Could the Cabinet Secretary explain the plans in place to ensure that the residents of Magarini Sub-County do not lose their land to the settlement fund trustees due to the current outstanding land-related fees, considering that land is their only source of livelihood? 2. What measures are the Ministry putting in place to waive the accumulated debt and relieve the burden owed to the settlement fund trustees in the former Magarini settlement scheme? Thank you.
Question will be responded to before the Committee on Lands. Last question by the member for Kwale County, Honorable Suleika Hassan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This question was asked last year and it lapsed as well. I stand to ask question 097/2021 to the Cabinet Secretary for the National Treasury and Planning. Could the Cabinet Secretary explain why the 34 retired civil servants from Coast Region with the following personal numbers have not been paid their pension dues to date? Personal number 021429 and 029116 and 030373 and 034166 and 034383 and 031139 and 034084 who retired in the year 2014, numbers 1977054282, number 030474, number 034514, number 019420, and 061982, who retired in the year 2015, number 034386, number 059038, number 057976, number 030366, and 034604, who retired in the year 2016, number 034167, number 034068, and number 019400, who retired in the year 2017, number 53274, number 058219, number 034295, number 034631, and number 198206890, who retired in the year 2018, and number 050566, number 034185, number 037177, number 030474, number 034320, number 034163, number 034268, number 050507, and number 034554, who retired in the year 2019. 2. What measures is the ministry putting in place to ensure that the listed beneficiaries receive their pension dues without further delay?
Question will be replied to before the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning. Next segment, statements. A statement by the Honorable Muturi Kigano, Chair of Justice and Legal Affairs Committee.
Thank you, sir. Sir, Mr. Speaker, sir, this House is aware that the National Assembly Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs and the Senate counterpart, the Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights, are jointly considering the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020. At a meeting held on 19th March 2021, the committee deliberated on various issues arising from the views received from the public and various stakeholders by way of oral submissions and by way of written memoranda. In total, sir, there were 65 number persons and or groups. In so doing, the committee identified a number of weighty constitutional, legal, and procedural issues for consideration by the committee, which were clustered under the following 6 thematic areas. 1, nature of the bill, public participation and its extent, the way of processing the bill, substantive issues on the bill, referendum issues, status of litigation in courts touching on the bill. The committee further observes that this was the first time that the House is considering a proposal to amend the Constitution by way of popular initiative under Article 257 of the Constitution. And thus, it was therefore expected that various constitutional, legal, and procedural issues would arise and have arisen. Further, the committees noted that it was imperative that the emerging issues are carefully considered by the committee, as they would not only guide the ongoing process, but also future processes and posterity on such amendments. The committee has thus resolved that there was need to engage experts in constitutional, legal, procedural, and governance matters to advise on the issues arising in the thematic areas as identified. In this regard, the Joint Committee observed that under Standing Orders 203 and 217 of the National Assembly and Senate respectively, committees may, with the approval of the respective speaker, engage such experts as may consider necessary in furtherance of its mandate. The committee therefore resolved that a subcommittee of the Joint Committee be established comprising of the following members: Yours truly, Muturi Kigano, as chairperson; Honorable Tiedo Amolo, member; Honorable Jennifer Shamara, member; Honorable Senator Eric Omugeni, chairperson of the other committee in the Senate; Senator Naomi Jirowako, and Senator James Orengo. The subcommittee identifies that the subcommittee identifies experts who are well-versed in the process with wide experience in constitutional, governance, legal, and procedural matters to be procured to provide consultancy services on the matters, therefore, the matters before the committee. That the subcommittee develop the terms of reference that shall guide the operations of the experts in this exercise. The subcommittee, at a meeting held on yesterday, Monday, 22nd March, considered the matter of the identification and engagement of the experts. The subcommittee urged the Secretariat to ensure that, owing to the urgency of the matter, and noting that the matter is one of national and the public interest, the engagement of the experts be undertaken without delay, so that the experts may commence work. The proposed terms of reference for these experts are: 1, to conduct extensive research on the thematic areas identified by the committees and the issues arising thereunder, or on such other issues as may be identified by the committee. 2, to analyze the Constitution Amendment Bill 2020 and advise the committee on the provisions of the bill, salient features on the provisions of the bill, to review the submissions received from the public and stakeholders on the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020. 4, to regularly advise the committee on the various thematic areas and the issues arising thereunder. 5, to attend such meetings of the committee as shall be appointed for the consideration of the thematic areas and the issues arising thereunder. 6, to provide such other services as may be necessary on the thematic areas and the issues arising thereunder, or on such other issues as may be identified by the committee. 7, to provide such other advice on the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020 as may be required by the committee. 8, to help prepare a final report for approval by the committee on the various thematic areas and the issues arising thereunder. We are therefore, sir, asking for more time to comprehensively consider the bill and table the report soon thereafter. And the grounds, if I may repeat, for seeking this approval, in short, brief, are: we have held public participation and received views and memoranda from 65 individuals, groups, and institutions, including the promoters. 2, public participation took 3 full days and extended to the night. The Joint Committee held a retreat Thursday to Sunday, last Thursday to Sunday inclusive. The committee has therefore sought Speaker's approval to engage servants under Standing Order 203. The committee is conducting very divergent views to make the bill coherent, fully constitutional in all respects. Thank you, sir.
I'm surprised that this committee now is looking for experts. Remember that there was a directive that they were to table their report today. And now, what we can do is, as a house, we can allow some comments here and there, but certainly on our members, we can't be, well, they are at liberty to engage those experts, but I thought one of the members there whose name has been read out, the vice chair of the committee, was himself an expert of the committee of experts. Now he wants to be advised by some other new experts. Honorable Junet, I know your signature appears in that bill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for indulging me. Mr. Speaker, I have listened very keenly to the chairman of the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee. And Mr. Speaker, it occurred to me sometimes that maybe we are talking about different bills. I think the committee is coming up with another bill that they want to change the Constitution, Mr. Speaker. I did not attend because I am a promoter of the bill. I was giving you people time to give the bill justice, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this committee is claiming now that they have formed a subcommittee to go and look for experts, Mr. Speaker, and they are forgetting that, Mr. Speaker, this is a bill through a popular initiative. The promoters, Mr. Speaker, which I include, Mr. Speaker, had engaged experts, Mr. Speaker, at length for 2 years. They have been talking to experts, Mr. Speaker, and your directive was very clear, Mr. Speaker, that they should table the report on 23rd of March 2021. Mr. Speaker, I think this House must remind the committee their mandate, Mr. Speaker. I think there is some confusion, Mr. Speaker. I think the committee maybe misunderstood the kind of work they were supposed to do on that bill, Mr. Speaker. When you hear committee now saying that they are looking for committee of experts, Mr. Speaker, they are looking for consultants, Mr. Speaker, to advise them on the constitutionality and the legality of the bill, Mr. Speaker, then, Mr. Speaker, we are discussing we have taken a very dangerous path, Mr. Speaker, pertaining to this bill, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the House must get back its bill, Mr. Speaker, because I'm seeing the House losing its bill now to a committee. First, the mistake maybe we committed was to have a joint committee of Senate and National Assembly, Mr. Speaker. You know, the Senate normally deals with the peripheral issues in the law of burial of permits, you know, chicken dying in the house, such kind of things, Mr. Speaker. This, I think the people who have given enough justice to this bill, Mr. Speaker, is the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee of this House, Mr. Speaker. And there is a reason why I'm saying that. Mr. Speaker, it is my honest request to you as a promoter and as a member of this House, Mr. Speaker, that you must give firm instructions, Mr. Speaker, that equivalent to the one you gave earlier, that this bill must be presented. Article 257, Mr. Speaker, is very clear. They are supposed to do things, they are supposed to handle this matter expeditious, Mr. Speaker. And the House is supposed to vote on it and pass it on a majority vote, Mr. Speaker, not even 2/3, Mr. Speaker. No, Dr. behave, Bana. I am not a goat that you treat as a veterinary doctor. Give me time to speak, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, the chairman, the report the chairman has presented here, Mr. Speaker, is fake, is vague, Mr. Speaker, and this is not a report that this House can use, Mr. Speaker, to determine the future of this report, Mr. Speaker. In conclusion, I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, this committee now, in fact, it is almost getting to a position where we may request the committee to be dissolved, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if a committee now can get out of its mandate to go and look for other lawyers, and some of them are lawyers in that committee, Mr. Speaker, and they are saying, we want to seek the opinion of other lawyers in town, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, please save the situation. Bring back the bill to the House, Mr. Speaker. The bill belongs to the House and not the committee, Mr. Speaker. As it was, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable Duale.
Mr. Speaker, before I comment on this House should be aware that Honorable Junet, sometimes he speaks in tongues. He speaks in tongues. So you don't take Honorable Junet's statement lightly. He might be telling you to go to the south when he's heading to the north. But, Mr. Speaker, I remember we altered the calendar of this House. We altered, and we went on a recess early. And the leader of majority, my good friend, told us that on 23rd, the joint committee will table. Mr. Speaker, we don't want to be subjected to the rumors in the newspapers. This is a legislative matter. And as the chair, and Mr. Speaker, I want the chair to listen to me. No, he's consulting the minority. He needs to listen to me. Chair, the chair, this matter, the media is reporting a lot of issues. And so many things have changed. You know, I'm sitting next to Honorable Member for Fafi. His party leader is becoming a serious candidate. So a lot of things are changing. Gideon Moi, his party leader. So, Mr. Speaker, I want the chairman to tell us two things. He is entitled to an extension of time. but it should be candid to the House. Why do they want an extension? Is there a problem in the committee? What are the reasons? Because, Mr. Speaker, we are reading a lot. We are reading a lot. So, Mr. Speaker, there are serious underlying issues. You know, and some of us are preparing for the committee. In fact, I've started preparing. From what I'm hearing, whether their actions can lead to something, because myself, Honorable Bandi, and a number of other people participated in the 2010 constitutional making. We sat in late in the hours until midnight. So the chair can tell us, one, how much time, Mr. Speaker, he needs, because we can't alter the calendar of the House on record, and today you are telling us, you know, you have talked a lot, but there's nothing I picked. What are the reasons? Well, yeah, we didn't pick it. What are the reasons why you want the extension? And how long do you want the extension? Because this document is a popular initiative. It belongs to the people of Kenya. It doesn't belong to a committee of the House. Even if Honorable Junaid said it belongs to ODM, somebody else in the government was saying it belongs to him, but this is a popular initiative. It belongs to the people of Kenya. So, Chairman, tell us the reasons why you want extension, and please tell us what is going on behind in the boardroom.
Honorable John Bandi.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for allowing me also to give my comments on this matter. Mr. Speaker, I'm actually shocked that the committee, the joint committee, which we gave, Mr. Speaker, this loud consultation.
Member for Dagoretti South. Could you
Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to make my contribution or be heard on this matter. Mr. Speaker, I'm surprised that the chair of the Jailer Committee is requesting for extra time to deal with this matter, and even asking that they would invite other experts to give input to this matter. Mr. Speaker, I think then, and with all due respect to this committee, because it is a committee that is populated with lawyers in this House, Mr. Speaker, and these are not just lawyers, really renowned lawyers in this country, and lawyers who, when you hear their names, Mr. Speaker, you cannot have doubt that they understand what they are doing. But, Mr. Speaker, I'm surprised that they can put such a request to this House when they know very well the provisions of the Constitution. Article 257, Mr. Speaker, of the Constitution was put there to stop anybody who would want to derail any Kenyan or a group of Kenyans who want to amend the Constitution. And so, Mr. Speaker, we all know that the role of Parliament in general and the committees in particular is basically ceremonial. And, Mr. Speaker, we need to appreciate that what the committee should have done was to just compile a report to this House for future references. There is no way that this House is even going to change a comma, not even a comma, in the proposed bill. Because how then do you change what Kenyans appended their signatures on? Kenyans decided that they wanted this constitution be amended in a particular way. If you want, Mr. Speaker, to amend this constitution through parliamentary initiative, you do it, because that is also provided for in law. So what I think the committee should do is to avoid this filibustering and this idea of derailing and delaying the process, and bring a report to us. We want to deal with this proposed constitutional amendment bill and give it back to the people of Kenya to make a decision. We have no capacity as a House to even amend it, not even a comma. So why should the committee? It comes because the Constitution says, and Mr. Speaker, you know this Sankok is developing a very bad habit, Mr. Speaker. He shouts even at his seniors, Mr. Speaker, in this House. People he should be listening to learn from, Mr. Speaker. And people who have been elected many times, Mr. Speaker, like myself. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to request Sankok. I know he has only been elected once and we had to massage some votes for him. No, he was elected as a SONU chairman, but we know what we did for him to become the chairman of SONU. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to just put it that this request from the committee is strange, and this committee should not put this country to unnecessary panic and discussion. The discussion out there today in the media is whether there is disagreement between Jubilee and ODM, between handshake partners, yet it is these members who have issues which they should sort out themselves. So, Mr. Speaker, that request of extension of time is completely unnecessary. Chairman, please go back to your committee. Give us a report quickly. Kenyans have made submission. Put those submissions together. In fact, when we were forming this committee, we were even debating in the House Business Committee whether it was necessary really to refer this matter to the committee. But we said this is going to provide an opportunity for Kenyans to also converse some issues which may inform future constitutional amendment. Mr. Speaker, I rest my case.
Let me hear from the member for, well, the Deputy Whip. Let's hear the Deputy Whip.
No, Mr. Speaker, I want to apologize. My card is being rebooted by your staff. That's why I was shouting around, and I apologize for that. Now, Mr. Speaker, I want to agree with the sentiments raised by the three predecessors in the comments, Honorable Duale, Mbadi, and Junet, that we are worried as a House that the mandate we gave to the joint, actually a high-powered joint committee of both the Senate and the House did not understand the terms of reference. And, Mr. Speaker, the terms of reference were that today they would table a report. And they have no business coming to amend or intercept the terms of reference and propose something called fresh terms of reference where they are giving themselves sweeping powers which they don't have. Now, Mr. Speaker, as per the Article 257, where you are going direct to the people, the House is doing a ceremonial role. Now, you cannot expand that mandate into the things the chairman was winding around, that they have there are referendum issues, there are litigation, public participation, constitution and legal and governance issues, and he said actually extensive. Now, Mr. Speaker, since he doesn't have the opportunity of amending what he was requesting, he actually did not request for any time frame. He just came and asked for extension or an indefinite period of which the House may not be willing to open that kind of gate because you don't know when it will be closed. And, Mr. Speaker, I want to make them refer to the book of Genesis about that project called the Tower of Babel. When they met, the team of lawyers and the politicians and the innuendos inherent in between, they did not know their mandate. And it is for that reason, Mr. Speaker, I wish to plead with you to intercept this report from this committee and make sure that you have maximum of next week when they should table the report or they get out of it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Kisumu West.
Mr. Speaker, I have the privilege of serving in JLAC as a ranking member, and I don't want to appear before you as insubordinating my chairman. But I have this to say. Mr. Speaker, I have this to say. The message delivered by my chairman was a good message, but it is poorly delivered. Mr. Chairman, have been participating in this process throughout. And the message that I want to bring to the House today was, the matter before us is so historic, it will be subject to some litigation. And all we wanted was at least 2 weeks to prepare a proper report for tabling. Mr. Speaker, this idea of getting experts is something that's caught me by surprise before the House. I counted the number of lawyers in the Senate, in the National Assembly, in these two committees. Cumulatively, the lawyers in these two committees have got 250 years of practice. Cumulative, 250 years. Which other lawyer in Kenya do we need more than 250 years to do this for us? Mr. Speaker, I'm sorry, but I don't want to insulate my chairman. With all respect and humility, we don't want experts. We don't want more than 2 weeks, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Speaker, I'm asking with humility to kindly give us 2 weeks and forget about the experts. We are the experts. Thank you.
Now, so now who is that? Honorable Sankok, you also want to weigh into this one?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, though I was extensively mentioned by Honorable Junet in Badi, insinuating that probably I was fraudulently elected as the SONU chairman, I want to put it on record that I was elected with the highest ever votes in SONU. He was an expert in finance, not in election matters. Honorable Speaker, we need an extension. And in fact, the extension is not even 2 weeks. We need an extension of 6 months, Honorable Speaker, because it's a very weighty issue, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I know they have had 65 sittings, Honorable Speaker. Okay, 1 year. Okay. Honorable Speaker. Okay, 1 year. No, Honorable Speaker, they had 65 meetings, Honorable Speaker. They had met 65 groups and several groups, including a group of persons with disability, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, in the midst of this pandemic, Honorable Speaker, sometimes their meetings have not been up to standard because of social distancing, Honorable Speaker. There are people who have not yet appeared. Honorable Speaker, and if Honorable Junet give us an excuse that we are not supposed to amend even a comma, Honorable Speaker, it is the Constitution that dictates that it should come to this House, and we should debate it in this House, and we should debate in an informed position, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, so I totally support the committee, because we gave them that mandate. And if we gave them that mandate, it is not up to us to make the decision. They have asked the Speaker. They have not asked Junet or Mbadi. So the Speaker, it is you to make the decision. And I urge you to make the decision to give us the extension, even if it is for 6 months, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I rest my case.
Honorable Kajuang.
Mr. Speaker, when you hear nominated members speak the way he is, you want to see whether he's speaking things which, when you look at 10 years from now, you would want to feel the weight of them. But you see, he's saying that you are the one who will decide. You should know that you don't have a vote in this matter. It is we members of this House who will make a decision. That is number one. Number two, Mr. Speaker, this committee, of course, my senior, Honorable Olago, has now put us back to the rail. I was getting very worried when I heard all these things being mentioned. I was about to think that this committee changed their position and then they were now promoters of this bill. But listening from Honorable Olago, now I see where we are. I think they deserve some time. I think they deserve 2 weeks that Honorable Olago is asking. But I get worried sometimes when I hear members speak things as though they are not members of this House. When you come and say that we are ceremonial, this English of ceremonial, I've heard people saying that we are just ceremonial, we are just coming here to see as things go. And the same Constitution talks about Article 94. The same constitution talks about Article 95. The same constitution talks about 96. Then you come and tell us that we are ceremonial. Ceremonial in whose ceremony? When you are talking about those things out there, we didn't even know what you are talking about. We waited for you to bring this thing before us. Once now you have brought it before us and it is a bill, we will deal with it as National Assembly. We have a voice to deal with this thing. And how we deal with this thing is what we have charged the committee to let us know. So you can't come and talk about this ceremonial. You can't speak politics when we are speaking parliamentary language here. Now, Mr. Speaker, I think that, well, if you feel that you are ceremonial, then you leave your duty under 95 and 94, and then you go and do those ceremonial things out there. But here we are serious members of the National Assembly. We have come to prosecute issues here. So, you see, there are a lot of issues that we are dealing with. There is this animal called public participation. We have never understood what this animal is all about. And we are trying to tame it so that we can use it within our understanding and get it done. Now, they have done a good job with doing public participation. Now, there are other issues also we have seen that we have to get seized of and see how then when we release this bill to the people to make a decision on a referendum, it becomes something which they can interact with. So the only issue that got me startled is this thing that we are ceremonial. I am not in anybody's ceremony. Yeah, so Mr. Speaker, I think we should give them time, but I think we should have a report that we can deal with and see how we can properly interact with this thing. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, the chairman wants to respond so that we... No. And lastly, Dave Murathe sitting up there is a friend of mine. He was a year behind me at the university. Whatever you are doing in Jubilee, don't bring it to this floor because we have no issues with it.
Senator, order, senators. Order, senators. Order, senators. Order. Senators, if you look at our order paper, we have very weighty matters, including a motion where we are supposed to condole with the people of Tanzania. We are going to have a lot of time, and order, Senator Murkomen. You are a leader here, and I expect that you conduct yourself with a bit of decorum. So I was going to say, what I want to propose and suggest here is that, because you are still going to have time to talk, we can still congratulate the newly elected senator as you speak and even outside the House. So that is also allowed, because I realize that the interest, we have more than 20 more senators. So I want to ask Senator Cherargei to wind up, then I'll make a communication, then we have... Senator Murkomen, what is it?
Mine is very brief, Mr. Speaker. It's just because of the record. I know Senate Majority Whip, in his maiden speech, Senator Wamatangi, as a Majority Whip, is anxious to defend the party leadership. But, Mr. Speaker, if you listen to me very carefully, my statements were actually in defense of those who are not sitting in this House. Because if we open the door for us to speak about my friend, the former vice president who is sitting there, or my friend David Murathe who is sitting there, in a negative light, Mr. Speaker, then there's no one to defend them here. It would be expected, of course, that courtesy would demand that when we mention their names, it's in a good light and a positive light. But even in the equal measure, when you start mentioning in that light, Mr. Speaker, there will be so many people here who would make accusations against them when they're standing there. And I cannot promise, Mr. Speaker, that when Senator Langat, who was arrested, Mr. Speaker, when he was performing his serious duties at the behest of the party, he may not be too kind like myself when he stands to speak. So my defense was in positive light. And I think Senator Wamatangi should relax. He has his place and nobody will remove him.
Order, senators. Order, senators. I think what we are saying, order, Senator Wamatangi. I don't want it to become an exchange between the two of you. No. Order, Senator Wamatangi. Order, Senator Wamatangi. You are a leader. I hope you don't want to talk about that. Okay, Senator Wamatangi, don't talk about because we cannot continue.
Mr. Speaker, I don't have to get into unnecessary altercation, Mr. Speaker. And you know I'm a stickler for rules, and I respect the House, Mr. Speaker. I'm a senator who has been sitting in this House for 8 years, Mr. Speaker. And since the time when we gave the senator for Elgeyo Marakwet, my very good friend, and Mr. Speaker, you have heard the senator saying on record here that I'm the one who gave him a wife. He said that here, Mr. Speaker. And is it and Mr. Speaker, so Mr. Speaker, no, Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to be on record, Mr. Speaker, that there is no maiden speech that the senator for Kiambu is making in this House. I am in the Hansard, Mr. Speaker, as having made speeches in this House, Mr. Speaker. And the point I laid is because as the majority whip, Mr. Speaker, it is important that we not only emphasize that the conduct of this business be dignified as it should, but Mr. Speaker, these rules bind all of us in leadership, including the senator for Elgeyo Marakwet, with his eloquence and his friendship. And if he continues that way, Mr. Speaker, I'll take that wife away. Thank you,
order. Senator Chararige, can you just wind up so that...
Thank you, Speaker. I want to conclude by saying I think Senator Moses Wetangula...
Order, senators.
Senator Moses Wetangula was not here when I was giving some advice to party leaders. I said all political party leaders in this country should allow themselves to field candidates. Even in Nandi County, you are free to field a candidate of Fort Kenya to run against me or any other person. That was my advice to all political parties, Mr. Speaker, that let us allow democracy to thrive. Let us not reduce our political parties into tribal conclaves. And I was saying, for example, ODM has done very well. They have filled all candidates across the country. And that is the future that we want for this country. I don't know whether you had a hand in what happened in Kabuchai, but we'll discuss under the cup of coffee. Because, Mr. Speaker, I would have also expected you to send me even a cup of Uji since I was in your county. Thank you very much, and congratulations, Senator Mudama, and we wish you the best. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, order, senators. Like I've said, there's a lot of interest, but we'll have an opportunity to welcome and congratulate the new senator for Machakos. But in the interest of time and what is lying before us, I should have even made this communication earlier, but I will make it now so that we are able to proceed. So I take this opportunity to welcome you back to part two of the 5th session of the Senate. This part of the Senate calendar will run from today, Tuesday, 23rd March 2021, to Thursday, 15th April 2021. It is my hope that you all kept well and safe during the 2 weeks recess, reconnected with your constituents, families, and friends, and that you are ready for the business of the Senate in the coming weeks. You will recall that on Wednesday, 3rd March 2021, I issued communication regarding the status of delivery by the county assemblies to the Senate of the speakers of the two houses of Parliament their decisions on the draft Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020 and the attendant roadmap on the bill. I indicated that as at 2 p.m. on that day, a total of 34 county assemblies had submitted to the two speakers resolutions by the county assemblies on the proposed Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020 pursuant to Article 257(7) of the Constitution and Paragraph 5 of the Guidelines for Delivery by the county assemblies as set out in legal notice number 175 of 22nd November 2019. Since then, the remaining counties have all submitted resolutions on the respective decisions on the bill. The final result is that 43 county assemblies have submitted a certificate of approval, while 3 county assemblies submitted certificates of rejection. 1 county assembly submitted letters to the speakers of the Houses of Parliament conveying that they had abstained. Honorable Senators will recall that before we proceeded for recess on Thursday, 4th March 2021, the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020 was read a first time in both the Senate and the National Assembly, taking into account that the threshold set out at Article 257(7) of the Constitution had been met. The bill was committed the standing committees on justice, legal affairs, human rights pursuant to Standing Order 141 of the Senate. I directed the committee to hold joint sittings on the bill with the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs of the National Assembly and undertake joint public hearings pursuant to Standing Order 224 of the Senate. It is my hope and indeed that of many Kenyans that the two committees have prepared reports on the bill, which will be tabled before the Houses of Parliament at the earliest opportunity to inform the debate and the next course of action on the matter. Honorable Senators, it's expected that in the schedule of business of the Senate, pursuant to Section 25 of the Public Finance Management Act and Standing Order 181, the Senate will consider the Division of Revenue Bill. As a standard practice, this bill is introduced in the National Assembly. The Senate Business Committee will therefore prioritize this bill upon receipt of a message from the Assembly on the matter. Shortly thereafter, the county assemblies of the county allocation of revenue bill will be introduced pursuant to Standing Order 182 of the Senate. Other business already before the Senate include 9 bills that were read a first time on 4th March 2021, a total of 49 petitions before respective standing committees and statements pursuant to Standing Orders 47 and 48. We will also be expecting chairpersons of respective standing committees to make their quarterly reports pursuant to Standing Order 51(1)(b). We look forward to hearing the impact that the work being undertaken by our committee is making, the innovations that they have had to employ to work in these unprecedented times, and their plans for the next quarter. I urge us all to avail ourselves to consider and pass this critical business. I also urge committees to redouble efforts to conclude the pending business before them. I thank you. Next order.
Order number 3, messages.
Okay. Messages. Order. Message from the National Assembly. Approval by the National Assembly of the mediated version of the Early Childhood Education Bill, Senate Bill number 26 of 2018. Honorable Senators, I wish to bring to your the attention of the Senate that on Friday, 12th March 2021, Pursuant to Standing Order number 41, 3, and 4, the clerk delivered to me a message from the Speaker of the National Assembly regarding the approval by the National Assembly of the mediated version of the Early Childhood Education Bill, Senate Bill number 26 of 2018. The message, which is dated 9th March 2021, was received while the Senate was on recess and was transmitted to all senators on 16th March 2021 pursuant to Standing Order number 41.5. Further, pursuant to the standing orders, I now report the message. A quote, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Orders 41, 149, and 150 of the National Assembly Standing Orders, I hereby convey the following message from the National Assembly. Whereas the Early Childhood Education Bill, Senate Bill number 26 of 2018, was referred to the Mediation Committee on Thursday, 1st October 2020, in accordance with the provisions of Article 112, 2B of the Constitution, and whereas the National Assembly on Thursday, 4th March 2021, considered and approved the mediated version of the said bill in the form developed by the Mediation Committee as required under Article 113.2 of the Constitution, now therefore in accordance with the provisions of Article 113.3 of the Constitution and Standing Order 154B, I will present the bill to His Excellency the President for assent. Honorable Senators, as communicated in the message, the Speaker of the National Assembly is currently processing the bill for assent. I thank you. I have another message from the National Assembly on the passage of the care and protection of older members of Society Bill, Senate Bill number 17 of 2018. Honorable Senators, via a message dated Friday, March 2021, I received a message from the National Assembly on the passage of the care and protection of older members of Society Bill, Senate Bills number 17 of 2018, pursuant to the Standing Orders 41.1 and 142 of the National Assembly Standing Orders. You may recall that this bill was passed by the Senate on Wednesday, 12th June 2019, with amendments and referred to the National Assembly for consideration. You may also recall that following the High Court ruling on 29th October 2020 on Constitutional Petition number 284 of 2019, implementation of the judgment by the Senate commenced. Notably, the High Court ordered that all bills for which the concurrence process contemplated under Article 110.3 of the Constitution could not be demonstrated be ceased, and that the said concurrence process be adhered before introduction of such bills in either House of Parliament. Honorable Senators, the Care and Protection of Older Members Society Bill, Senate Bills number 17 of 2018, was one such bill for which the concurrence process pursuant to Article 110.3 of the Constitution could not be demonstrated by the time the High Court gave its judgment. As such, I directed that the bill be republished, which it has as the Care and Protection of Older Members of Society Bill, Senate Bills number 24 of 2020, and is currently undergoing the concurrence process pursuant to Article 110.3 of the Constitution, following which the bill will be read a first time in the Senate. In view of the foregoing, the Care and Protection of Older Members Society Bill, Senate Bills number 17, as received from the National Assembly via message dated Friday, 5th March 2021, will not be proceeded with in the Senate. I thank you. Next order.
Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Leader of Majority.
Mr. Speaker, sir, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the Senate today, Tuesday, 23rd March 2021. Number 1, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Siaya for the year ended 30th June 2019. Number 2, report of Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Executive of Siaya for the year ended 30th June 2019. 3, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Mandera for the year ended 30th June 2019. 4, report of Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Executive of Mandera for the year ended 30th June 2019. 5, report of Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Assembly of Meru for the year ended 30th June 2019. And finally, report of the Auditor General on the financial statement of the County Executive of Meru for the year ended 30th June 2019. I thank you.
Okay, next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Which order? Which the next order? You are not audible. Senate Majority Leader, notices of motion.
Number 4.
I wish to give notice of motion. I have two, Mr. Speaker, sir. The first notice of motion, alteration of the Senate calendar for the year, for the 5th session. That notwithstanding the resolution of the Senate made on the 16th, 2021, approval of the Senate calendar, pursuant to Standing Orders 29.4 and 31.3, the Senate resolves to alter its calendar regular sessions for the 5th session 2021 in respect of parts 2 and 3 to hold 2 sittings every week on Tuesday only, morning and afternoon, beginning from 10 a.m. and ending at 12:30 p.m. for the morning sitting, and beginning at 2:30 p.m. and ending at 6:30 p.m. for the afternoon sitting, beginning on Tuesday 23rd March 2021 until Tuesday 15 June 2021, and that the Senate calendar regular session for the 5th session 2021 be altered accordingly. The second notice of motion, Mr. Speaker, is motion of the condolences on demise of His Excellency the late Dr. John Pombe Joseph Magufuli, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, that the Senate of the Republic of Kenya expresses its deep sadness at the death on 17th March 2021 of His Excellency Dr. John Pombe Joseph Magufuli, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, records its appreciation for his immense contribution in public service to the people of Tanzania, appreciating his effort to foster unity and peace within the East African community, recognizes the high esteem in which he was held in the African continent in his pursuit of Pan-Africanism, stands in solidarity with His Excellency Mama Samia Suluhu Hassan, the new President of the United Republic of Tanzania, and the people of Tanzania, in the true spirit of brotherhood within the East African community in this difficult time, and efforts its profound sympathy and condolences to Her Excellency Mama Janet Magufuli and the entire family, the government, and people of the United Republic of Tanzania. I thank you.
Thank you, Senator. The next notice of motion is from the Senate, from the Chairperson, Standing Committee on Roads and Transportation. Senator Wamatangi.
Madam Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that the Senate adopts the report of the Standing Committee on Roads, Transportation
on its inquiry into the operationalization of the National Construction Authority defects liability regulations laid on the table of the Senate on Thursday, the 24th of September 2010, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Next order.
Order number 7, statements.
Honorable Senators, we have one statement under 47.1, and we have 7 and 6 under 48.1. I want to request that when we go to 48.1, we don't, we commit them to the committees rather than write on them, so that we dispose of two very important motions. We have the motion on the change of the calendar, which we must dispose of as soon as possible. And I'm sure we'll need about an hour to deal with our condolence messages to the late Dr. John Pombe Joseph Magufuli. So if I can get your silent okay, then I will move now to statement, the first statement 5A by the Senator for Trans Nzoia, Senator Michael Mbito. Senator Michael Mbito, I don't see him, so we go to the next set of statements. The next set of statements, 48.1, we have two statements from Senator Gerard Gay. Please take the two of them concurrently, move one after the other. Thank you. Yes, Senator.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have two statements, and I request that I read both of them concurrently. Madam Speaker, I raise pursuant to Standing Order 48.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Information and Technology regarding the status of access to information regulations as provided for in the Access to Information Act of 2016. In the statement, committee should, 1, explain why the Cabinet Secretary for Information and Technology has delayed in making access to information regulations as contemplated in Section 25 of the Access to Information Act 2016. Secondly, state when the said regulations will be in place. Thirdly, explain the strategies that the Commission on Administrative Justice has employed to ensure that there is awareness among members of the public on access to information as a right and awareness as provided for by the Constitution of Kenya 2010 among its public officers on their obligations under the Act to facilitate access to information. And finally, Madam Speaker, avail a financial report on the implementation of the Access to Information Act 2016, including an impact assessment of work conducted by Commission on Administrative Justice. Madam Speaker, I proceed to the second statement, request for statement on operationalization of the proposed Legal Aid Fund in the Legal Aid Fund Act of 2016. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 48.1 to seek statement from the Standing Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs and Human Rights regarding the operationalization of the proposed Legal Aid Fund provided for in the Legal Aid Act of 2016. In the statement, the committee should, 1, explain the reasons why the Legal Aid Fund has not been operationalized. 2, state the measures put in place by the government to ensure that legal aid support is accorded to indigent persons. Number 3, clarify whether the Office of the Attorney General has explored possibility of devolving the framework of the Legal Aid Fund to the counties, and if so, state the strategy and timelines established. And finally, Madam Speaker, provide a detailed financial statement of budgetary allocations including assistance by development partners towards providing legal aid programs in Kenya, as was stated in Legal Aid Fund Act of 2016. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Cherargei. The first statement stands committed to the Committee on Information Technology on Information and Technology, while the second statement stands committed to the Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs, and Human Rights. The next statement is from nominated Senator Beatrice Kwamboga.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 48.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries on the outbreak of foot and mouth disease in Narok County. In the statement, the committee should, number one, report on the extent of the current outbreak and spread of the foot and mouth disease in Narok County, particularly in Transmara. Number two, state the measures put in place to contain FMD as well as other fast-spreading livestock diseases, especially in marketplaces. Number three, outline the measures set up to cushion farmers from the losses incurred due to the outbreak, including the available veterinarian services in the county. And number four, explain the actions taken by the government to educate farmers on livestock diseases, including both preventive and curative measures. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. That statement stands committed to the Standing Committee on Agriculture, Livestock, and Fisheries. Next statement is from the nominated Senator, Senator Naomi Shionga. You have two statements. Please read both of them, one after the other.
Mike, please. Okay, thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, thank you very much for giving this opportunity to pass my statement on the deplorable state of the public schools in the rural areas. Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 48.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Education regarding the deplorable state of public schools in the rural areas, especially at this time when the national examination is taking place or has commenced. Madam Speaker, in the statement, the committee should, one, explain the framework put in place by both national and county governments to ensure that students, especially the candidates, are able to write the exams comfortably. Two, provide the demographic and distribution of the public schools which are deemed to be in deplorable state across the counties. Three, outline measures, if any, that have been put in place to ensure provision of enough teachers, sanitary facilities, classrooms, and other amenities to ensure learners achieve academic excellence. And lastly, to state the progress made toward establishing mechanism to equip these schools and upgrade them to higher standards as needed. The second statement, Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 48.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee of Agriculture, Livestock, and Fisheries on the plight of sugarcane farmers in the Sugar Belt region across the country. In the statement, the committee should, one, explain the major cause of delay in transporting sugarcane to the sugar companies after harvest, especially for the growers in areas like Navaholo and Mohoroni areas. Two, to state the measures that have been put in place to address this delay, as well as the issue of delayed payment for delivered sugarcane, considering that sugarcane farmers or farming is the only source of livelihood for some of the farmers in this area. 3, explain the progress being made toward removing rogue sugarcane brokers from the market and enhancing the seamless process of operation between farmers and sugarcane companies, and lastly, outline the measures put in place, if any, to caution sugarcane farmers from losses they incur by failure or delay by these companies to transport sugarcane, which often leads to delayed drying and rotting the canes once harvested. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The next statement, you have two statements. First, I want to commit the first one to the Committee on Education, and the second one to the Committee on Agriculture, Livestock and Fisheries, and I see an intervention by Senator Pareno.
Madam Speaker, thank you for allowing me to comment. It was on the statement by Senator Beatrice Kwamboka on the widespread infections of foot and mouth disease on our animals. Though this statement, Madam Speaker, is targeting Narok, I was going to request that the committee that you referred to should look at the problem widely. Madam Speaker, we keep vaccinating our animals on foot and mouth disease every 2 months. It used to be like once or twice in a year. Now we are doing it every 2 months, because in every 2 months you realize that the animals are already infected. And by the time we vaccinate, we have already taken the meat, we have already taken the milk. We don't even know whether taking the milk and the meat that is already infected, we don't know the extent of damage to those of us that are livestock breeders and we take our milk daily. We have a problem all over. And it is so consistent that it can no longer be contained by single individual farmers. It has to call for the intervention of the bodies that either keep the vaccines. And I'm requesting, Madam Speaker, that the committee to take into account and investigate whether the vaccines that we are getting are no longer serving the purpose, or we are getting vaccines that are fake, because definitely they are no longer serving the purpose. So, Madam Speaker, I'm requesting that the committee broadens its investigations into Kajiado County, and also to check on the effectiveness of the vaccines that we are getting on foot and mouth disease. It is so serious, we don't know where it is taking us, Madam Speaker.
Okay, thank you, Senator. Honorable Senators, the next statement was by the Senator for Muranga, Senator Dr. Irungu Kangata, and he's not in. But we have an approved statement from Senator Methika Linturi. And the 48-1.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a request for a statement on outstanding pending bills, small African contractors on roads and other related infrastructure projects. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Order 48.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Roads and Transportation on the issue of outstanding bills owed to small contractors of roads and other related infrastructural projects. In the statement, the committee should provide a list of pending bills owed to small contractors of roads and other related infrastructure projects since the financial year 2017 to date, explain reasons for non-payment by the government of the pending bills despite the directive by the President to cushion small contractors against the impact of COVID-19, a situation that has led to many job losses as the same contractors have been forced to lay off workers. 3, state reasons for lack of a policy by the 3 roads agencies in the Ministry of Transport, Infrastructure, Housing, Urban and Development to prioritize payment of small African contractors as an affirmative action. 4 outline measures that the three-round agencies intend to put in place to pay accrued interest arising from the delay in payments of those contractors as provided for in the contract signed, and the impact on the taxpayer on these, on the impact on the taxpayer. Finally, Mr. Speaker, state when the three-round agencies, the ministry, intend to pay all outstanding pending bills of those small contractors, given that the supplementary budget tabled in the National Assembly has no provision for budgetary allocation to pay the contractors, and especially the special categories such as persons with disability, women, and the youth. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. The statement by Senator Methika Lenturi stands committed to the Committee of Roads and Transportation. Honorable Senators, we'll go back to statements under 47.1 because they have confirmed Senator Michael Mbito had already delegated his statement to the Senator of Narok, Senator Olekina.
Madam Speaker, I thank you. I rise to request a statement on behalf of Senator Michael Mbito. Madam Speaker, from the onset, this statement is dated the 27th of February 2021, and it's similar to a statement that I had requested. It's on an issue of general topical concerns regarding addressing corruption in the police recruitment. Madam Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 47.1 to make a statement on an issue of general topical concerns, namely addressing corruption and in police recruitment. Madam Speaker, reports of widespread corruption in the ongoing hiring of police officers are annoying indeed. Some of the qualified candidates claim they had been locked out of the filthy ground because they could not raise the huge bribes demanded by recruiting officers. In some cases, Madam Speaker, the results of the recruitments were shrouded in secrecy. The recent recruitment of the Kenya Defence Forces officers can also not be said to have been above board. In both cases, Madam Speaker, families were asked to pay as much as Kenya shillings 500,000 in bribes for their kin to join the armed forces, with Kenya shillings 400,000 being the standard figure, which is unbecoming. Madam Speaker, one discerns two significant developments in the hiring. First, the country boasts of an army of young and educated people who are desperately looking for jobs. An opportunity to serve in the security services will not only have been bestowed the youth with the patriotic duty to defend and protect their motherland, but also kicked off a journey that would lead to fulfillment of career dreams. Madam Speaker, secondly, the entrenched culture of corruption stubbornly continues to characterize recruitment in the security services. This cruelty disadvantages candidates from poor backgrounds who can't raise the bribes, dashing hopes, and opening the door for disillusionment. Madam Speaker, there's something terribly wrong with a system that rationalizes and rewards corruption at the expense of merit and transparency. It also raises questions on the commitment of agencies such as the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, Independent Police Oversight Authority, and the Director of Criminal Investigation that are mandated to tame misconduct in disciplined forces. Therefore, Madam Speaker, serious measures should be put in place to ensure that there is sobriety in the security services sector. Madam Speaker, the idea that corruption has been rendered the only window to serve in the police and military should be a moment to reflect for any right-thinking citizen. It will be remembered that the government in 2005 cancelled the police recruitment drive due to bizarre corruptions. The Anti-Corruption Commission warned that 80% of the candidates had either paid bribes or used high-level connections to get jobs. A total of 60 senior officers were suspended following the debacle. Madam Speaker, the reality that the practice continues with the amount of bribes demanded increasing means that perpetrators have devised more ingenious ways to beat the dragnet. It is doubtful that Kenyans can expect individuals recruited through corruption to uphold ethics and integrity in their future careers. It is akin to polluting a stream at the source. Therefore, Madam Speaker, the relevant agencies should take action to ensure that we root out corruption completely in order to have a level ground field for every Kenyan to participate in the recruitment exercise. Madam Speaker, on behalf of Senator Michael Mbito, I thank you, and I hope that action will be taken on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senator. I will allow only one because we are not committing to a committee. Senator Langat, Christopher Andrew.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would have wished first to contribute a bit on the first statement. However, may I get into supporting this one from Senator Mbito? I want to say the corruption that marred seriously the recruitment of the police and the armed forces this particular time was so serious. Madam Speaker, I want to say that the moment we compromise the recruitment of soldiers in our country, it has a long and lasting effect in the professionalism of the same profession. We can remember very well, Madam Speaker, about what happened to China in history. After creating a very expensive wall for defense to their country, it was later on discovered, Madam Speaker, that nevertheless the wall never helped them because of the soldiers who are at the gate, and they could easily be bribed to allow the enemies in. I'm so sure that these particular soldiers who are corrupting their way into this particular profession, finally they will be compromised in whatever they are doing. And you know, military is a very important department in this country that is bestowed into actually defending our country from enemies outside. This is a particular force that keeps the secrecy of defense of our country. If this particular corruption, if this particular compromise is allowed to continue, Madam Speaker, this particular Department of Defense will be at risk and our country will be at risk. So it is my appeal that the newly recruitment which took place last month be rejected, disbanded, and recruitment is, and a fresh and professional recruitment is done, because it is embarrassing, and I appeal, Mrs. Speaker, that this particular corrupt system that ensured this particular recruitment be disbanded. So, Madam Speaker, it is my appeal, because it is a very serious issue that is affecting our country. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Honorable Senators, today is the Cerebral Palsy International Day, and we've approved a statement from Senator Musuruve under 47.1. Senator Musuruve.
For giving me the opportunity to make this statement regarding Cerebral Palsy Month. Honorable Speaker, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 47.1 to make a statement on an issue of general topical concern, namely Cerebral Awareness Month. The month of March is globally marked as Cerebral Awareness Month. Thousands of Kenyans may not be aware of what cerebral palsy is, the symptoms, and how to support children with cerebral palsy together with their caregivers. The word cerebral means having to do with the brain, whereas palsy means weakness or problems with the using muscles. Cerebral palsy is a brain disorder that can affect muscles of the brain. To create awareness of cerebral palsy, many people who are aware and would like to create awareness purposely wear green. The color green was chosen to reflect youthfulness and new growth, as well as hope for advancement in treatment and acceptance of cerebral palsy. Honorable Speaker, cerebral palsy may be caused by brain injury or problems that occur during pregnancy or birth or within the first 2 or 3 years of a child's life while the brain is still developing. Cerebral palsy related to the brain that happened before or during birth is called congenital cerebral palsy. Majority of cerebral palsy, 85% to 90%, is congenital. In many cases, the specific causes is not known. Some things increase the chance that a child will have cerebral palsy. These are called risk factors. It is important to remember that having a risk factor does not mean that a child will have cerebral palsy. Some of the risk factors are congenital CPR, low birth weight, premature birth, multiple births, assisted reproductive technology, that is infertility treatments, infections during pregnancy, jaundice, and canicteras, and jaundice. Honorable Speaker, a small percentage of cerebral palsy is caused by brain damage that occurs more than 28 days after birth. This is called acquired cerebral palsy and usually is associated with an infection such as meningitis or head injury problems with blood flow to the brain, cerebrovascular accidents, for example, stroke or bleeding in the brain associated with a blood clot problem, blood vessels and that did not form properly, a heart defect that was present at birth, or sickle cell disease. In preventing cerebral palsy, there's need to be aware that the cause or causes of congenital cerebral palsy aren't fully known, which means that currently little can be done to prevent it. Cerebral palsy related to genetics is not preventable. However, the actions people can take before and during pregnancy, as well as after birth, that might help reduce the risk of developmental problems, including cerebral palsy. Taking steps to help ensure a healthy pregnancy can help prevent developmental problems, including cerebral palsy. Then we have acquired cerebral palsy, which is often related to an infection or injury, and some of these cases can be prevented. Some preventive measures are mother being as healthy as possible before pregnancy, getting vaccinated for certain diseases such as rubella and chickenpox that could harm the baby, and considering chances of reducing multiple pregnancies in case one is using assistive reproductive technology. Honorable Speaker, there are 3 types of cerebral palsy, namely ataxic cerebral palsy, dyskinetic cerebral palsy, and spastic cerebral palsy.
Senator, I'll give you 2 minutes to summarize.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I've talked about the 3 types of cerebral palsy. Honorable Speaker, children with cerebral palsy may experience difficulties in learning. These may include short attention span, motor planning difficulties, that is organizational and sequencing, perceptual difficulties, and language difficulties. These can impact on literacy, numeracy, and other skills. Honorable Speaker, people keen in supporting children with cerebral palsy can reach out to families or organizations that deal with cerebral palsy to find out on various specific points of intervention. Some points of intervention revolve around therapy, services, for instance, speech, physio, and occupational therapy. Provision of food rich in calcium, such as milk, yogurt, cheese, and calcium supplement fruits, juices, and vitamin D rich in rich foods such as fish. Health services countrywide need to deliberately create awareness to expectant and lactating mothers on healthy lifestyles before and after giving birth, and precautionary measures that need to be taken in helping children in their first years of birth developmentally. This awareness can be incorporated in antenatal clinics. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity.
Thank you, Senator. I will only allow 2 interventions again. Senator Sakaja Johnson, other.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, even as I make a comment, I think, as you've seen, you've had to ask her to summarize, means there's a problem somewhere because this is a statement that was approved in its entirety. I don't know how you approved such a long statement. But more importantly, Madam Speaker, the issues she's talking about are critical. I have very many young people in Nairobi, children, whose parents are not well-to-do and are suffering from cerebral palsy. Madam Speaker, when it is possible to actually help many of them be able to live almost a normal life and to be educated in special institutions, many of these children, Madam Speaker, you'll be disappointed to learn, are locked up in the slums, in the houses, because there's only one caregiver, and the mother needs to go out and look for a living, earn a living. And so there are many of them who are locked up and kept almost tethered like animals, and there are hundreds and hundreds of them in this city, sadly. I'm glad that it's something that we've been able to work on, and I thank the President, Uhuru Kenyatta, because he helped me get a bus. And we were able to give that bus to one of the ladies who does therapies for children that goes around and picks these children. But more needs to be done. I would like to urge Senator Musuruve, because these are just a few that we've been able to assist, to bring a substantive intervention where through the government's health budget and education budget, because we've seen many of these children being able to actually be brought back into the system, and even some of them are able to walk, they're able to learn, that a substantive intervention that makes sure there is an allocation, that we have these special institutions, that we have a budget that takes care of these kids. Because it is only those who are well-to-do, the rich in society, who are able to rehabilitate their children. Yet there are many, it's an unspoken issue. In many areas, maybe even in the rural areas, they say that the parent has been cursed. And that is why, because of the curse, your child, and they think the child is mad or there is something, generational, we need to also debunk and demystify and actually deal with the stigma that is associated. And I'm glad Senator Musuruve has been able to break down what causes this condition. So I'd encourage her and ask her to, instead of just celebrating every March, what actual steps are we taking as a country, or as a Senate, or as a representative of persons living with disability, to bring a legislative intervention that will take care of this very important and very vulnerable segment of our population, Madam Speaker. The situation is more dire than many people would care to appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Wako Sitwila Amos.
Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. I thought I should speak on this because when I was Attorney General, a group of people came to see me to form a society, the Cerebral Palsy Society of Kenya. So I sort of got interested. I registered the association and did a fundraiser for them to take off. Now, it's really when I went to that fundraiser and I saw the children were suffering that I was really moved. Moved because that is a type of disability which is not really taken care of institutionally. By that I mean, for the blind, at least you have the school for the blind, school for the deaf, the school for the physically disabled. But this category of disability, as at that time, did not have anybody. These were really the pioneers in that game. And as you can imagine, when parents realize that this is a child of cerebral palsy, I'm sorry about women, a number of men normally can run away from that wife because of the way the child is. And that happened quite a bit. So I want to take this opportunity to congratulate the mothers because I found that the mothers are very patient. They really look after these children. They take all their devotion, commitment to looking after these children really on their own. And I hope that by now the society has grown a bit so that at least they can also be institutionally helped the way the Senator of Nairobi is talking. Unless you have an institution which can give education, which is specialized in giving education to this type of students, ability to children, then we are just talking in the air. About a month ago, I remember seeing on television, there's a lady in Doraka, that side, who has begun a home. But you can see she doesn't have the means, she doesn't have anything, the way the children are, it appeared on TV. But you can see she's really committed, which leads me to think that we are not really paying as a society, let alone the individuals who are committed to this as a society. Are we supporting these individuals who are very good-hearted, who want to do something, who depend on handouts, basically, but who are just there? Nothing is happening. They are not getting the proper education, and they are growing up and so on. So I would urge Senator Musuruve, my what? Actually, she's like my sister-in-law. I would urge her, really, because she has been very actively involved in these issues, if she can target that by this time next year, we shall be talking about some concrete steps that are being taken now institutionally, particularly in the provision of proper education, in the provision of proper caring of these students, of the people suffering from the cerebral palsy, properly taking care of them and so on, that some steps have actually been taken. I take what Senator Sakaja said, that maybe there's a bus which goes around picking them and so on. But let me tell you, that's just a tip of the iceberg. There are many who are hidden. Even in Madare and so on, Madare and so on, because I've seen one or two, they are hidden kabisa, because of the shame their mothers feel or the shame their parents feel. To be encouraged now to have a proper school so that they are encouraged to take the children there and they can learn. Although it's a difficult challenge, they can learn to do something, taking into account their disability. They can learn to do something. And in other countries, they learn to do something. And they become useful members of the society, rather than just being left there and being taken as signs of some bad luck or whatever to the families where they were born. So thank you very much, Srude, for the very comprehensive statement you have given. I would like to have a copy of it, if I can, for my records and for future reference. If there's any assistance that you would want us to do not forget to get in touch with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. The statement is available for circulation, but I was also going to order that the full statement be put on the answer so that it's complete as it is. It was 4 pages. That's why I wanted members to, it's a celebration time for them. And with that, I want to take the discretion to allow 2 more people, Senator Lokorio Petrolina Were, and finally, Senator Mutula Kilonzo.
Thank you.
If you can take 2 minutes,
yes, I will.
Senator Yane will be able to get 1 minute.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also want to join my colleagues in congratulating Senator Musuruve for bringing this statement that is globally marked as Cerebral Awareness Month. Madam Speaker, we should note that the cases of cerebral palsy are rising.
And it is surprising that they are rising when now we have free maternity care in our hospitals, which are encouraging proper antenatal care for our pregnant mothers. So it means that there is a gap somewhere in implementing this free maternal assistance to mothers, because they are not therefore encouraging proper antenatal care, because the statement Senator Musuruve gave says that most of these cases, if they are not hereditary, they are caused by brain damage that occurs more than 28 days after birth, meaning that during birth, something occurs that was not foreseen because this mother has not been attending antenatal care as is expected. It's also possible because then that pregnancy was not healthy. So mine is to urge those responsible for implementing the free maternal care that is part of the Jubilee agenda for this country, that they implement it fully, to start from antenatal to birth all the way. Madam Speaker, the Speaker earlier had promised that we can also congratulate Senator Kavindu when we rise up to speak on any issue. So I would like to congratulate Senator Agnes Kavindu for election, Kava Mama, and also congratulate the Vice President, Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, for ensuring that she was given the party ticket. And thank the former Vice President for mobilizing his fellow leaders, our very own Senator Wetangula, the ANC leader, Musalia Mudavadi, and the KANU leader, Senator Gideon Moi, in making sure that we got this seat. So it should not go unmentioned, and urge other political parties to ensure that in their strongholds, they give women the nomination certificates, because the election of Senator Kavindu has proved that if you give a woman in your stronghold as a party, you are almost 85% assured of getting that seat. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. On this subject of cerebral palsy, let me disclose that very young in my practice, I represented a couple, and that couple had a 14-year-old girl who suffered from cerebral palsy. Now, I've listened to your statement, Senator Dr. Gertrude Museruve, and those who have mentioned about maternal health care, because I did a lot of research. The correct position is this, that a lot of the children who end up with cerebral palsy get it during birth. That's when it happens. When that child misses oxygen for a period of less than 5 minutes, that child gets cerebral palsy. This matter made me so paranoid, Madam Speaker, that when my 2 children were born, I was there to check, so that there is no distress, because it is that distress to the mother that causes cerebral palsy. Now, what is the tragedy? Is that in most of our hospitals, the women will be told, push, continue pushing. That is when it occurs. And I went to a hospital in Sultan where a mother was in labor for 24 hours. It is when the child is at the bridge that you get cerebral palsy. Speak the truth. Tell people that you cannot have a mother in labor for all that time. Because some mothers cannot dilate, and it's not their mistake. And it is at that point where doctors should take preventive action. I got UNICEF to donate that machine, the ultrasound machine, to check the distress of a baby, when they are fetus, when they are being born. And the tragedy is this, that in Kenya we only have at most 10 experts on cerebral palsy. This child who was born under distress and was this small at 14 years, this small, no doctor could testify against the doctor who made that mistake. And recently, a gentleman walked into my office just about 2 weeks ago. The child was under distress in a hospital in Nairobi, was born with acute cerebral palsy, was kept in an ICU for 3 weeks. They were left with a bill of 4 million shillings. The child was buried, and it's when the parents then realized something was wrong. By the time they came to me, I said, we don't even have a case because that child is gone. But the record here shows that your wife was under distress for more than 14 hours. So the answer is in maternal health care. What Senator Lokoria said, that you cannot have a child at the bridge for 5 minutes. That 5 minutes will cause cerebral palsy, and it's irreversible. And that child becomes deformed. That child's brain will never develop. And in most cases, in fact, thank God, the one Senator Sakaja is talking about, in most cases, that child would not live for more than 8 years. Those who have lived for more than 8, God has been graceful to them. And they don't get the attention they ought to get. They are treated as if they are disabled. They are treated badly and don't get any recognition. I would urge you to have a motion, get some way where we can have cerebral palsy in part of maternal health care, in the health bill also, as a subject that is touching on the pregnancy of women and having every hospital with an ultrasound machine. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator, and thank you for that information, Senator Mutula. Very few senators have been to the labor ward, but you have been in the labor room. Yes. Thank you. Senator Mary Yane, take the shortest time possible, please, because another senator wants to tell us his experience.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for also giving me a chance to congratulate Senator Musurufe for having thought of this very vulnerable group. Madam Speaker, as my other colleagues have said, this is the most vulnerable group of persons with disability that are forgotten. I actually want to join other mothers by celebrating the mothers with this nature of children. Madam Speaker, if a mother gets such a child, you'll never go anywhere. You'll be reduced to just taking care of this child forever. These are mothers who will not be able to take these children to school. They cannot take them anywhere. They grow that way. Some of them will not even be able to talk. Some of them are not able to hear. This child just becomes a total burden of a parent forever. And many of our facilities, many of our counties, many of our health care institutions have no care for these particular children with cerebral palsy. So I think I concur with her in a statement that we need to go further in terms of giving awareness of what these mothers should get in terms of other services, what these children should get. We should go further in terms of making policies that can help this particular type of children. Madam Speaker, I of course want to request you to give me a minute to also congratulate Senator Agnes Mudhama. I didn't get a chance. She is a neighbor of mine from Machakos County. You know, Kajiado County is neighboring Machakos County. And on behalf of all the women of Kajiado County, we want to congratulate you. And we have also learned quite a lot from you, and especially in terms of campaign, issue-based campaigns. I was looking at your campaigns in church, in all forums, and you are really having a campaign that are on issue-based. And we want to congratulate you, and we want to thank God for you, and we want to really thank the people of Machakos for having stood with one of our own, a woman, despite the fact that we were not coming from the same the political party or affiliation, but I want to congratulate you as a woman. We are indeed happy, and as a country, we are really happy. Even further, this is a celebration month for us, Madam Speaker, remembering that also we are neighboring Tanzania, And we now have a neighbor president, Madam President. So we are indeed blessed this month, and so the women of this country have something to celebrate. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Finally, Senator Moses Wetangula.
Madam Speaker, thank you. I'll be very brief. I want to thank Senator Musurube for that statement, and like those who spoke before me, encourage her to go beyond this. She's been very passionate about disability issues, and I stand here, Madam Speaker, to speak because I have an experience in these matters of cerebral palsy. My own mother lost 2 children in the 60s, a sister and a brother, who suffered from what I now know was cerebral palsy, but we didn't know because the level of awareness was very low. And in my earlier years, together with this Vice President Moody Awori, we did a lot of work with Amos Wako in trying to help. Even the fundraising that Wako is talking about, Moody Awori and I participated in trying to help children with this condition. It is important, Madam Speaker, that we bring this to a national conversation where, as we deal with children with physical disabilities, with seeing disabilities, that children suffering from cerebral palsy are also attended to by the state as people who need special attention, special care, and special help. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. I think we congratulate Senator Musurube and encourage her to look into it further, as has been said. I want to join my colleagues in saying that this is a group that can be helped. I had a student who had cerebral palsy, and we took care of him through the first degree. He managed to go for master's. He went for his PhD. Now he's a professor in a university. So it is possible to help them. Depending on the levels that she has defined for us today, I can see there are different types and different levels. I am also taking care of one other cerebral palsy candidate called Kemboy, who is doing very well, and he's now in college. So it is possible to help them, and colleagues, let's look out for them, and we shall help them. Honorable Senators, we now go to statements. Pass one to Standing Order 51-1A, and we have 2 statements, and then I'll make a statement on the next statements. These are updates, so they should take 2 minutes each. The chairperson of the Standing Committee on Labor, Social Welfare, should make a statement concerning the status of Inua Jamii programs. Senator Sakaja.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, first you'll be pleased to note that it is not just Mutula who has been to the Labour Ward. Madam Speaker, on the 14th of March 2012, on the 11th of August 2013, on the 12th of May 2019, for both my sons and my daughter, I was there inside the Labour Ward. And for the rest, I'm going to have, because we were told to multiply.
Congratulations, Senator. Yeah. We are happy.
And for the others who are coming, I will always be there. Madam Speaker, allow me to also, as the Speaker said earlier, that we can take this opportunity. Allow me to take the opportunity to congratulate my neighbor, because Machakos neighbors Nairobi County, Senator Agnes Kavindu Mudhama, for being elected. Madam Speaker, as was said earlier by Senator Umanga from my Nairobi delegation, Senator Mudhama was a Jubilee member, and she's on loan to Wiper, but she is still ours. And so we're very proud of that election. And the election is the first election of many that has shown the unity, what unity can do. We saw party leaders together. Senator Wetangula was there with his Fort Kenya troop. Honorable His Excellency Musalia Mudavadi was there with the ANC troop. Gideon Moi was in support. And maybe that is why today her jacket is very colorful. She's wearing all the party colors that represent all those parties. But I don't know what the yellow represents. But it is cumbersome. That is the cumbersome. So we are grateful. We are proud you've come. You've set the tone. you showed that you can have a campaign that is not about tribe, but about issues, not about insults, but about encouragement. And that signals a new way of doing our politics. And that is what we've always been doing. My slogan has always been Siasa Safi, that you don't have to return an insult with an insult, but rather with an encouragement. So congratulations, Honorable Kavindu. And it is a good thing for women. We've achieved the gender parity. And Madam Speaker, we've seen the women celebrating. Our claim to democracy is tainted when half of the team is not on the pitch. And that is why we have men in this house who support gender parity. And that's what I'd like to advise the ladies. Because today you all came with shukas. This fight you will not win on your own. You must involve the men. The only man with a shuka was Ledama. And that is because he wears the Masai shukas. But there's something called he for she. Because this fight for gender parity must be won by both men and women, and you can count on us for that. So, hongera, Senator Mudhama. Madam Speaker, pass you on to Standing Order 51.1, which provides that a chairperson can make a statement on a matter for which the committee is responsible. I'd like to make a statement on the Inua Jamii programs as a follow-up of the House's last discussion on this matter. At the sitting of the Senate on Tuesday, the 2nd day of March 2021, I informed the House, by leave of my committee, that we had received communication from the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, the State Department of Social Protection, regarding the payment drive to beneficiaries under the Inua Jamii programs that had commenced on the 22nd of February 2021. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, senators urged the committee to get more details on the matter. And I wish to inform the House that we have invited the Cabinet Secretary, Labor and Social Protection, together with his PS of the State Department, to come and shed light on the following matters. Number one, a briefing on the payment process that commenced on the 22nd of February, and I had given the amount, it was close to 8 billion, on the challenges encountered and whether they achieved 100% success. Two, the institutional framework that is in place to implement each of the programs, including the criteria for selection to the programs, the implementation framework, and monitoring and evaluation of these programs. See how far the State Department is in the registration of older persons of society on the National Hospital Insurance Fund to take care of their medical needs. These were concerns that were raised by senators when I gave the statement. For a comprehensive report on the disbursements of the latest program, including details of disbursements under each program broken down to counties, so that each senator knows what is happening in their specific county and constituency level, the names, criteria used to select, the amounts given, and historical information on the disbursements and beneficiaries. How the State Department is planning to manage the transition of some of the beneficiaries of the program, that is orphans and vulnerable children. F, what the department has done in creating databases of these special interest groups, how it manages to clean the data, for example, when an older person dies or a child reaches the age of 18, and also how then they coordinate with county government so that we don't have duplication of two levels of government doing the same thing and getting credit or using it to account, yet it is being done by another arm of government. And the tentative dates for the next recruitment. Madam Speaker, with your kind permission, I want to invite senators to a virtual meeting of the Senate Labor Committee. Madam Speaker, because of the spike in the numbers of COVID, even today at the SBC, we discussed that we need to reduce physical engagements. And we earlier had invited the CS to a physical meeting here for all senators to come and raise questions. But because of the new protocol based on the spike of the third wave, I hereby invite senators to a virtual meeting of the Committee of Labor, Social Welfare, with the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection tomorrow, Wednesday, the 24th of March at 9 a.m. The login details will be shared. I'll share that on our platform, on the Senate Business platform. Madam Speaker, the credentials will be there, and members will get a chance to seek clarifications from the CS and the team. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Senator. The next status report is from the Chair of the Committee on Justice, Legal Affairs, and Human Rights on the status of the BBI. Senator Okongo Mugeni.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise pursuant to Standing Order 51.1 to give an update on the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020. Madam Speaker, following directives of the two speakers of the National Assembly and the Senate, the Departmental Committee of Justice, Legal Affairs of the National Assembly and the Senate held meetings to consider the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020. Madam Speaker, following our meetings, both committees received memoranda pursuant to a public invitation on public participation that took place in the sittings that were held in this House on the 12th of March 2021, 16th of March, and 17th of March 2021 to collect views of members of the public. Madam Speaker, the public interest participation attracted a lot of interest, and we received memorandum from citizens of this country, constitutional officers, including IEBC, Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, Gender Commission, among many others. Thereafter, Madam Speaker, the committee undertook a joint retreat on the 19th of March 2021 to consider the issues that were raised during the public hearing. Madam Speaker, I want to report to the House that after considering the views that were received from the public, the joint committees identified a number of issues in 6 thematic areas that require in-depth consideration by the two committees. Therefore, Madam Speaker, the committees were not able to conclude their consideration of public views and writing of the report on the meeting that was held on the 19th of March 2021. Madam Speaker, bearing in mind that this is the very first time Parliament is processing a bill to amend the Constitution through a popular initiative under Article 257, it is the view of the joint committee that this matter should be given due consideration and also, where necessary, get assistance from experts on constitutional matters. Madam Speaker, the committee therefore agreed to adjourn its sittings and resume further sittings on the 26th, 30th, the 26th, 29th, and the 31st of March 2021. Madam Speaker, I want to report that this far, the meetings that have been held by the Joint Committee have been collegial and egalitarian, with a single purpose of midwifing this process forward. Madam Speaker, on behalf of the two committees, I want to assure the country that it is the intention and hope of this committee that this process will be midwifed, taking into account the fact that the two committees have one of the most experienced legal minds in this House. Therefore, Madam Speaker, this update is to seek an extension from the Speaker and request that the committee tables a report of the joint committees before this House on the 6th of April 2021. Madam Speaker, I want to assure the country and the promoters of the BBI that there is no intention whatsoever by the two joint committees to scuttle the BBI process, but we want to undertake a process, Madam Speaker, that can stand any constitutional test. Madam Speaker, let's bear in mind that any process that we undertake as Parliament is subject to the supervisory jurisdiction of the High Court. Madam Speaker, already arising from a similar process that was undertaken by the County Assembly of Tana River, the High Court has nullified the proceedings that took place before the County Assembly of Tana River. Therefore, I want to urge members to give this committee and the Parliament an opportunity to interrogate the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020 and go through a process that can withstand any constitutional challenge. So, Madam Speaker, we beg that time for presenting the joint reports of the two committees be extended to the 6th of April 2021. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. I send an intervention from Senator James Orengo.
Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, I want to join the co-chairman of this joint committee in the the request that the committee be given more time to come up with a report. And Madam Speaker, if may allow me to say so, nobody in this country should say that the role of Parliament is ceremonial. You cannot have a provision in the Constitution where Parliament is required to conduct business or a transaction for ceremonial purposes. The fact that Parliament is involved in this process, in fact, Parliament is one of the few institutions which is involved in the parliamentary process and in the popular initiative, and it is not for nothing. And therefore, Madam Speaker, I would want to urge those people who want to imagine that there's a crisis in the committee. There is nothing like that. If the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission can take a position on some matters, Parliament requires an answer to be given to that representation made by the IEBC. The Kenya National Bureau of Standards took certain positions which they made out to Parliament, and Parliament must answer those questions. Madam Speaker, I'm saying this because, if you go to the record of the committee, to the report of the Committee of Experts, Madam Speaker, I want the chair to listen to me as I say this, because he's the one who brought up this issue. If you go to the Committee of Experts, the way they conducted their business, almost on every issue, on every article in the Constitution, there's literature backing the position that they took. The shame of the parliamentary process during the constitution-making process, which came to this Parliament, was that in our debates, if you go to the Hansard and the records, the public would not be able to understand the position taken by Parliament in 2010. And therefore, this time around, we should not allow a position where Parliament is going to give a report to this House, which treated our role as purely ceremonial. I want to assure you, Madam Speaker, that in the deliberations of the Joint Committee, and I was there was no single issue on which members of the committee differed, not even a single issue. We agreed on what to do, but generally said there are two components of the report that we are required to bring before Parliament. One is on the process. We must answer that question. Are we on the right track? Because it's a question that has arisen out there in the public, in the courts, and Parliament must speak to it. Secondly, is the issue of content. And even on that issue of content, Parliament must give an answer. And Madam Speaker, I always regret the fact that when we were turning this great nation to one-party system, nobody was heard. Nobody was heard. In fact, if the matter had gone to the public and was informed by the public, the result would have been different. Now, members of the public have spoken, county assemblies have spoken, government institutions have spoken. Why do they expect Parliament just to become a voting machine? And we are an important arm of government. So I would plead for people who are making commentary on this process to be very, very patient with Parliament. We know the timelines, and we know our duty. Today we swore in a new senator, and she swore a constitutional oath And we are aware of what that oath requires of us. And I hope that, in fact, when the deliberations come before the Senate, each single senator who wants to be heard should be heard on this very important question. And we have a very able chairman. And Chairman, I want to remind you that if you read the deliberations, either in committee or even the literature around constitutional making in America more than 200 years ago, it's those who said something that are remembered, not those who kept quiet. And those who said in Parliament or in the proceedings, whenever they took place, those who wrote about it like Hamilton and Madison, we quote them to do it today for purposes of constitutional interpretation and the thoughts that they were there around the American Constitution. So I can tell you, next time we are going to interpret the Constitution, people will want to hear, when they were discussing this process, what did Senator Mutula or Senator Murkomen say about it? To help, because the Supreme Court has said in interpreting the Constitution, you must be contextual. You must take into account what happened when the process was going on. And therefore, I hope that this process is going to go to a successful conclusion. And nobody is opposing the process, but we must not be seen to be just be voting machines. I'm not ready to do that. Not this time, never.
Senator.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
Is Max's mother like? Mrs. Lucretia? Keep a safe distance from her. I'm begging you.
Do you ever find out who's really behind that accident?
No. We never found out. And I don't think we'll ever know.
I think it's time that you know that your mom and Mauro Montesinos had a very deep love for each other.
Tonight on KBC Channel 1.
It is strange that in this very palace, one of my loved one is conspiring against me. And on the other side, a princess from an enemy state is trying to do everything possible in order to protect me.
This arrow is full of poison. Such a dangerous poison which can kill anyone within a fraction.
Ashok, leave from here. Don't even come near me. I don't want to be touched even by the shadow of the person who killed my son.
Which son? Who thinks of me as your son? For this family and this court, I was no more than a son of a handmaiden. And I will always be.